Are you trying to get healthier but keep running into roadblocks? This video is going to cover 20 longevity factors that you need to know about to live a happier, healthier, and longer life. Maybe it's your job, taking care of your kids, or finding a creative way to give back to your community. Regardless, having a clear sense of purpose or a North Star can be a really powerful motivator for a longer and healthier life. There was a study in 2019 that even found people with a purpose had a 15% lower risk of death. And I'm not here to tell you that it needs to be your job that gives you purpose, just that you should make it a priority to identify and pursue one. Humans are social animals, and there's tons of evidence to support that having a community and strong social connections will improve the quality of your life and how long you might live. And with the internet, you have the ability to connect with like-minded people basically anywhere on Earth. It can be uncomfortable at first, but it's worth putting yourself out there and trying to connect with others over similar interests. This is one of the core themes that's consistent across all of the blue zones, or the areas of the world where some of the longest living people are. Stress is much more than just a feeling. It can silently shrink your brain and shorten your life. So stress management is absolutely critical, and there are a few really easy ways to combat stress. Activities like exercise, meditation, sunlight, even limiting technology, and obviously prioritizing plenty of sleep. All of these can help you reduce stress. And I get it. Stress impacts all of us, which makes it more important than ever to be mindful of it for your health. And you can't possibly do that without quality sleep. Your brain cells actually shrink by up to 60% when you go to sleep. And that's to make space for fluids to come in and help remove toxins and debris. Sleep is the time when your body repairs to make sure you can function at your best when you're awake. So the quality of your sleep directly correlates to the quality of your time awake. So it's a direct contributor to your health span and your lifespan. And there are some easy ways to improve your sleep. My favorite is the 20-10-3-2-1 rule. Trying to get 20 minutes of direct sunlight first thing in the morning, no caffeine 10 hours before bed, no food 3 hours before bed, work 2 hours before bed, or screens 1 hour before bed. It may sound complicated and difficult, but trust me, it works. Having good health depends on your ability to easily switch between fuel sources. And these days, upwards of 90% of the population in places like the United States have some degree of metabolic dysfunction, meaning they're not able to easily switch between running on fats and carbohydrates. And that's a direct contributor to some of the leading chronic diseases. It can end up leading to insulin resistance, which then contributes to cardiovascular disease. It can contribute to dementia, to cancers, many of the things I know you want to avoid. Over 20 years ago, humans decoded the entire human genome. That's over 33 million different parts. Now, humans are working on decoding the gut microbiome. And it's thought that every single one of us has over 30 trillion microbes living in us, making up this gut microbiome. And your health relies on them, from everything from your immune system defenses, creating hormones, digesting foods. They play a huge role in your health. So it's important to make sure you have the right microbes in your gut. And the easiest way to do that is to eat some form of fermented foods every day. And to make sure in your diet, you're trying to limit as much as possible ultra-processed foods like refined carbohydrates, simple sugars, and seed oils. By the way, my name's Andrew, and I'm a personal trainer, nutrition coach, corrective exercise specialist, and founder of Longevity Lifestyle. My mission is to empower people like you with information that'll help you live a longer, healthier, and happier life. And I wanted to make this video because I've spent the last 10 years studying human health, and I truly believe these to be the 20 most important factors that contribute to human health, vitality, and longevity. And if you think I'm missing something, definitely let me know. You've heard of the food pyramid, but have you heard of the nature pyramid? Because nature is an essential nutrient just like all the nutrients you get in your diet. And just spending some time out in nature can do some amazing things for your body. Things like drop your blood pressure, relieve stress, lower inflammation, and make you feel those feelings of wonder and belonging. Spending at least 20 minutes outside in nature every day, especially if you get out there barefoot, is one of the easiest habits you can implement to improve your health. And you can definitely do it with others, but just leave your phone at home because that kind of defeats the purpose. There are some shocking studies out there that show that people that have poor emotional control have upwards of 50% higher likelihood of premature death. And before you call that bullshit, think about it for a second. Poor emotional control leads to impulsivity and often unhealthy decisions, lack of discipline and inability to resist temptation, and can damage relationships, which you already know are important for a long, healthy, and happy life. So don't overlook emotional control as an important component of your health. And one of the easiest ways to improve your emotional control is to spend some time daily just sitting and reflecting without any distractions. Daily meditation is an awesome practice, but even if you're not at the point where you want to meditate, just giving yourself a chance to reflect on your thoughts and the reactions you have to them can give you a significantly improved sense of control over your emotions. This one shouldn't surprise you, but I know what probably will. You've heard the stat that the human body is made up of anywhere from 40 to 70% water depending on age, but did you know that 50% of hydration actually requires movement in order to get the water into those areas of your body? You have a massive hydraulic pump that surrounds and encapsulates all of your muscles and tissues, and it's called your fascia, but it's only activated through movement. And you won't retain water, and that pump won't work without electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. So the best way to stay hydrated is to make sure you're prioritizing clean drinking water, but you're also getting plenty of movement and plenty of those hydration nutrients. You knew it was coming. There are mountains of scientific evidence that suggest that daily movement and moderate intensity strength training can contribute to both health span and lifespan. So much so that popular longevity researchers like Peter Attia have come out and said exercise is the most potent longevity drug on the planet. And that does not mean you need to be a gym rat. Even 30 minutes of walking every day can extend your health and your life. But realistically, muscle is your insurance policy as you get older. So you should prioritize putting on some lean muscle so that you're able to move without pain and reduce your risk of injury. It's important not to skip strength training, and even 2 times a week doing body weight training can give you the majority of the benefits. Exercising your body is important, but so is exercising your mind. Because who wants to live a long life if you can't even think clearly by the end of it? And keeping your brain requires engaging in mentally stimulating activities. So much so that some studies have found the risk of dementia is reduced by almost 50% in those that engage in daily mental stimulation. And learning, whether it's reading or another format, is super important for long-term cognitive function. And games are my personal favorite way to exercise the mind because they provide a great combination of problem solving and social interaction. Did you know that every human on Earth shares 99.9% of the same DNA? If that surprises you, here's why. It's because you have a second layer to your genetics called your epigenetics. In simple terms, your epigenetics are the parts of your DNA that are turned on or off, and they're controlled by your habits and your lifestyle choices, which is why regardless of having 99.9% of the same DNA as everyone else, we all have different health outcomes. A ton of that has to do with epigenetics. So the next time someone says, make healthy choices, keep in mind that your DNA actually depends on it. In the United States right now, the average person is set to spend over 90% of their life indoors. But sunlight is vital for human health. And you have hundreds of vitamins in your body right now, and vitamin D is the only one your body can actually make on its own, which is why it's actually incorrectly called a vitamin because it's really a hormone. And aside from stimulating the production of vitamin D, sunlight also stimulates production of happy hormones like serotonin and dopamine and promotes the release of nitric oxide that your body needs for healthy blood vessel function. And light is also how your body regulates its circadian rhythm. Sunlight has so many health benefits, and it has been demonized by the mainstream for way too long. I highly recommend trying to get 15 to 20 minutes of sunlight sometime earlier in the day or later in the evening. As long as you're not getting burnt, sunlight is going to contribute to a healthier and happier life. And the best natural sunscreen available is what you eat. Foods that are rich in omega-3 fatty acids or high in antioxidants like vitamin C, E, A will provide your body with cellular building blocks to protect and repair your body from the sun. And most people don't realize food is information for your body. It influences what fuel you're using, how you repair, whether or not you're building muscle or storing fat, and it even influences your epigenetics, which we just talked about. And there's really only one diet you need for a long, healthy, and happy life. And that is a diet of real foods. As long as you're trying as much as possible to avoid the ultra-processed garbage that fills 90% of the modern grocery stores, you're in good shape. And speaking of ultra-processed garbage, did you know there's over 80,000 chemicals that are currently used in the United States? And there's only a fraction of them that have been adequately tested for their impact on long-term human health. Your body will protect you from many of them, but the sheer number of them puts all of us at risk of having them overrun our systems and contribute to diseases like cancer. So you can't avoid them all, but here are a few things you can do. Try and limit plastic whenever possible, especially where you store liquids or foods. I would avoid non-stick cookware, which is typically lined with hormone-disrupting chemicals. I would try to limit polyester or synthetic clothing, which is also made with chemicals that can leach into your skin. I would also avoid drinking tap water. The Environmental Working Group actually has a tap water database at ewg.org, and it suggests that there's almost no tap water across the entire United States that is safe to drink long-term without a filter. And the last things I'd add are to get outside as much as you can to try and get some fresh air, and to cook your own food whenever possible. And I know it's expensive, but it does help to buy organic if it's within your budget, especially animal products, because toxins are more easily stored in fat molecules. So you can typically wash the toxins off of fruits and vegetables easier than you can washing them off of meats. Given everything that it influences, having a positive mindset might even be a bigger influence on your health than exercise. I know that might sound like a stretch, but there have been studies that found people with a positive mindset lived an average of 7.5 years longer than those with a negative mindset. And there are so many reasons why that could be. Your mindset can improve your stress tolerance, it can boost your immune system, it can even help you grow and heal faster. And one of the best ways to improve your mindset is through daily mindfulness or meditation. And you don't actually need to go through a structured protocol. You can just sit outside, take some time to examine your surroundings, and just sit and reflect on some of the little things that surround you every day. You'd probably be surprised at the magic that comes from living mindfully. Whether you realize it or not, you are an electrical organism from top to bottom. Your heart produces electricity, your brain produces electricity, even your muscles. They're only able to move because of the tiny electrical changes taking place on a molecular level. So it's no coincidence that some of the most important nutrients for your body are called electrolytes. And because you're an electrical organism, your body and your mind are impacted by external electrical forces. The sun is an obvious one, but in our modern world, many people are surrounded by electrical devices that have an invisible, and sometimes not so invisible, impact on the body. And despite the telecom industry doing the same thing the cigarette industry once did to hide the evidence, there are still many studies suggesting that long-term exposure to high levels of electromagnetic frequencies, such as living under power lines, can increase the risk of certain cancers. And there are reasons to believe EMF exposure, especially for kids that have developing brains, can lead to things like ADHD, anxiety, and depression. So if you want to be the healthiest version of yourself, you should be mindful of your electromagnetic environment. And the number one thing you should know is that the impact of the electrical energy that comes off devices is exponentially more powerful the closer you are to the source. So here are a couple really simple ways you can be mindful about it. First, limit the amount of time you have your phone in your pocket, or just put it in airplane mode when it is in there. And ideally, I would keep it on airplane mode or in another room while you sleep, because the electromagnetic frequencies can actually disrupt your brain waves and prevent deep, restful sleep. If you have Wi-Fi in your home, I would be smart about where you put your Wi-Fi router, so you're not spending tons of time right next to it. You can also shut it off while you sleep. That's an easy way to reduce the exposure to it. And if you have a microwave, I'd be mindful about your usage of it and try at least not to stand in front of it while you're using it. Listen, I totally get it. You absolutely cannot avoid electrical devices entirely. I'm sitting here surrounded by about 10 of them as I film this, but there are ways that you could be mindful to try and reduce your overall exposure. You know, over 10% of the world currently experiences back pain, and that number goes up the older you get. But there's a pretty easy way to prevent and reduce your pain, and that's by prioritizing your flexibility and posture. You certainly don't have to do a split like that woman, but even 5 to 10 minutes of stretching in the morning and evening can make a huge difference. And it helps hydrate your muscles and joints, it removes toxins, and it can dramatically reduce any aches and pains you might have. For something that could be a game changer for you, it really doesn't have to be complicated. And I actually have a few other videos with simple stretching routines that could be a good place to start. Temperature extremes are like a secret weapon for a healthier and happier life. The evidence for sauna use is incredible, with studies showing that it significantly reduces the chances of some of the most common chronic diseases and all-cause mortality. And all forms of heat therapy can contribute to improved brain function and memory. They can reduce risks of certain diseases and even promote muscle growth. And forms of cold therapy, even just a 2-minute cold shower, can improve blood vessel function, reduce symptoms of depression, increase focus for up to 3 hours afterwards, and reduce inflammation. Hot and cold therapy seem to be two things that a lot of people overlook, although it does seem like more people are becoming aware of the benefits these days. So if you do have access to a sauna or a steam room and you're willing to take a 2-minute cold shower a couple times a week, I promise you, you won't regret it. Most people don't realize that your breath is the only way that you can influence your autonomic nervous system. You can't control your digestion, you can't control your heart rate, your blood pressure, but you can control your breath, which impacts each of these things. And studies have shown that healthy breathing techniques can reduce stress levels by up to 30% and improve cardiovascular health, improve mental clarity and focus, and even significantly reduce anxiety. So learning to breathe properly, primarily through your nose, is one of the most overlooked factors in your health and simultaneously one of the most powerful. And that's it. In my opinion, those are the 20 most important factors that contribute to human health and vitality. And if you want a printable version of all of these with a helpful tip for each of them, you can get one for free signing up for my newsletter at longevitylifestyle.me. I appreciate you for being here, and I wish you a happier, healthier, and longer life, and I'll see you next time.